Alright everyone, welcome to En Cama with Manny, el show donde hablamos sin filtros de la vida, pop culture y todo lo demás. I'm your host Manny, your new internet bestie, your late night overshare buddy, or maybe your favorite new toxico, aquí comfy in my bed with my special drink, getting ready to chismear y pasarla bien. So get comfy, grab your favorite drink, and let's get into it. Pero antes de empezar, quiero recordarles que cada episodio va a tener un prompt que puedes encontrar en mi Instagram story cada miércoles. Así que stay tuned, hit that like and subscribe button y mándame tu chisme o dilema para que lo lea aquí. Alright everyone, let's catch up. My week has been going well. I've been trying to get back to the gym because I did go up a few pounds. I used to weigh 165, but for some reason, mainly food and especially going to weddings and todas esas cosas, I went up 175. And for me, that's kind of an issue because I've been losing weight, I've been gaining muscle as well, and I'm not a fan of gaining weight again, so it's a struggle for me, and I just can't say no to comida mexicana. I just love comida mexicana, especially when my mom makes it. Something about my mom's food is just, I love it. And so I know I'm not the only person who tells my mom that she should start her own business when it comes to food, and it's me, my family, her friends, her coworkers that she used to work with. There's just something about her food that's really good, and she does want to do it, but she's a little hesitant because she's afraid of how people are going to perceive her food and the judgment. And I tell her that people are going to judge your food, but it shouldn't be a final say of if you're going to do it or not. I tell her just to take it as a critique, and maybe there's things that she could work into it, maybe not. It just depends on her, but no one ever really complains about my mom's food, so I'm pretty sure she would do well. And I know something's going on and that I don't know about, because she used to be such a confident person. She used to just jump into things, but lately I think she's been a little down, so I will give her space, even though I really want to push her to do it because she is the best cook in my eyes, and her food is just so delicious. So that's what's been going on with me. Okay, so now let's get into the real tea for this episode, which is growing up gay and Latino. All right, so growing up gay and Latino. How was your childhood like? My childhood was not the best because my father, unfortunately, was an abusive person. Me and my mom and my younger siblings, but mainly me and my mom because my siblings didn't really witness it or experience it themselves. We went through domestic violence, and my dad was this Mexican parent who was a machista and a little bit of a homophobe, which did not help me in my case. I am the oldest of three. I was always a little bit feminine. I was always such a shy and timid kid, and also as a typical gay stereotype, I guess, for the Latinos or just in general. I had tias, which were around my age, that I grew up with. I used to play Barbies with them. I used to steal Barbies from their house and bring them to my mom's and my dad's house. And I would get some very, very bad beatings, lessons. I used to get told not to be a joto, which is every homophobic Mexican parent's favorite word. A joto, X, Y, and Z, just to keep it PC. It was bad. I was always too feminine. I didn't know how to act, and it was a little bit rough because I was just a kid and I did not know what was going on. I didn't even know what those words meant. So you could always imagine just a kid hearing those things, being made to feel excluded and like you're not part of what you're supposed to be, which is a manly man or a boy who likes your typical things like baseball, soccer, dinosaurs. I liked Barbies and I liked playing with my tias who were around my age, so it wasn't the best. What was your earliest memory realizing you were different? I always felt different because Like I said in the previous statement, I was just a very feminine kid. I was always the artsy one, the weird one, shy. I loved Barbies. It was very hard. And my dad tried to beat it out of me or give me life lectures about how I need to be a man and all that stuff, which I understand to a certain degree, but it was just not me, and I always felt left out. What was school like for you? Did you face bullying or did you find support? Yes, my school experience, it was not the best. During elementary school, I was always pushed out of the boy groups because I was too feminine or just too acting like a girl. Um, I was bullied a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I did have some friends who were girls who I always hung out with, and they were my safe space. That was my experience in elementary school. My middle school year, it actually got worse because that was the first time I experienced physical, aside from my life at home. That was when I started to experience being pushed, being bullied, being chased at some points. It wasn't the best, but during that time, I'm glad to say that me and my mom and my brothers were already separated from the whole domestic violence situation with my dad, which is, it did help. But it made me feel alone. It did mess up with my mental state. I always hated myself. I used to do things I shouldn't be doing just so I wouldn't go to school. And the only allies that I had during that time were my mom, but I didn't want to tell my mom I was gay, but she kind of already knew. My teacher, who was my literacy teacher, and my school counselor were the only people that actually defended me, because it got to a point where they started witnessing it, and they talked to my mom, they talked to the principal. The principal during that time, he didn't really seem to care, or she, I don't remember if it was a man or a woman. He didn't seem to care, so it was just very hard. But they were my biggest allies. They always told me that nothing was wrong with me, just to be myself, which, if you were to see my pictures during that time, I was already being myself. It's just I had to face those consequences. Did you ever feel pressure to hide parts of yourself? Yes and no. With my family, my mom, my stepdad, and my brothers, I was always myself. They knew, but no one really said anything. So I'm glad I got to have that. But it was a little bit hard. They did get weirded out at some points about certain things that I would do, because I wore makeup too. So they always were like, oh well, that's him. With my extended family, yes, I had to be very boy, very macho. I want to say, but not really. I was just that one individual who felt so different and isolated from everyone and picked on, to the point where I just kept to myself. I didn't speak much. I even avoided everyone. I was always on my phone and on my headphones listening to whatever it is I was listening to during that time. And it sucked because I felt like I was trapped, like I was in jail. I couldn't be myself. I couldn't do X, Y, and Z because I didn't want anyone making fun of me or making fun of my mom or telling my mom, hey, your kid's a weirdo or he's strange. Especially in a Mexican environment. The area that I grew up in era muy mexicano, éramos variados, pero doing that and being myself was a little bit hard. And I just felt lost because I didn't really have any representation. I did have some tios and family members that were gay that were out, pero no to the degree that I saw them as out, you know? So it was just a weird journey. And they really didn't talk about it porque pues los veían como los jotos or los jotillos, or, you know, the stereotype typical gay that you kind of pick on in some points or make fun of. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to a different segment just to keep this on a lighter note, because this is not a negative episode or a sad episode. This is a positive episode. I'm just giving you guys my experience as a gay Latino and also the struggles and barriers that we went through. Not just me, my family, and my mom. Alright, so for this segment, I will highlight the people who supported me in this journey, especially specific moments when I can recall they defended me, encouraged me, created a safe space, or just impacted my self-esteem. Alright, so one of the people that gave me the best support was my mom. And when I came out of the closet, mi mamá, ella ya sabía, so no, básicamente no le tuve que decir, se lo confirmé. Yo no soy un padre, pero I can imagine how that feels. Pero cuando salí del closet, ella pues me aceptó, me dijo que nada estaba malo conmigo, me abrazó. Y ella me defendió contra muchas cosas cuando salí del closet, porque durante ese tiempo tenía bullies. Ella me defendía contra los bullies. Ella se unió a un no bullying campaign that they had during that time in my school with some other mothers that their kids experienced bullying. She was always on it. She was very active on it. And there was this one time when I came out, fui a recoger a mis hermanos de elementary school, y una mujer que era un activist, y digo activist porque ella era de ese tipo de personas que decía que quería social change, quería equality para todos, pero nosotros tuvimos problema con ella, pero yo nunca me metí con ella de esa forma. Cuando recogí a mis hermanos de elementary school, ya estábamos saliendo de la escuela, heading to the next street, and she would say, no me gustan los jotos. Yo no sé por qué los gays, honestamente ya ni me acuerdo porque no vale la pena acordarme. I felt so bad and felt so humiliated porque lo dijo loud, lo dijo en frente de muchas personas, and I was a teenager. Y mis hermanos pues les dio un poquito de vergüenza, y pues rightfully so. So I went to my mom, y pues mi mamá se emputó. Ella con mi tía fueron a la casa de esa señora y le empezaron a decir cosas que ellas no entienden por qué se están metiendo conmigo. Si ellas tienen un problema, que hablen con ellas. Y the cops were called because they told my mom that it was basically hate crime, and my mom did call the police, and they went to her house, and basically they dismissed it like it was nothing. So it was so dumb, and they gave her a warning, pero ya nada pasó. And to be honest, she did continue giving me dirty looks and talking shit, pero pues para mí no valía la pena que mi mamá se metiera en problemas, y mi tía no quería que ellas tuvieran problemas, porque pues ellas siempre vieron por mí, y lo menos que yo quiero es meter a alguien en problemas nomás porque no me aguanté during that time, which is not okay on her part, pero pues some people are just like that, and para mí me dio igual, and then I moved on. Alright, so one thing I do have to tell you guys, que es una experiencia when I was a little kid, con mi mamá, es que antes mi papá los daba $20, y pues como yo era niño siempre iba al Family Dollar, which was a few streets away. Siempre iba a comprar cosas para mis primos, mis tíos, whatever. Y yo compraba juguetes, pero no eran juguetes de niño, eran juguetes de Barbie, o eran juguetes de las Disney Princess. Y esos juguetes costaban como $5, creo, y había una señora que siempre era la cash register lady que trabajaba ahí, era siempre ella, y yo siempre le decía a ella que eran juguetes, los juguetes no eran para mí, se los estaba comprando a mi hermana o a mi tía, no me acuerdo cómo le decía. Y pues yo creo que la señora era un poquito, pues, she was a little homophobic, I want to say, that llegó un punto donde ella pues me decía, como que me decía cosas, y hubo un tiempo that she would not let me buy those things, because she told me, well, you shouldn't be buying girls' toys, you're a boy, you need to buy boy things. And if you want those toys so bad for your sister, you need to bring your mom so I could talk to her. So that did happen. I did tell my mom actually, y mi mamá se enojó y le fue a decir cosas a la señora. Básicamente le fue a decir, pues si son o no son para él, a usted qué le importa. And me defendió tanto que pues esa es una memoria que nunca se me va a olvidar. Me da risa porque pues digo, maybe it's just funny. Those were signs that my mom knew and she accepted me. It was a journey, and I just love her, and every time I think about it, it makes me laugh. So all right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to another part porque me está dando un poquito de vergüenza. So it says here, did you and your mom have any special traditions, chistes internos, or moments just between the two of you? Yes. So once I came out, I felt more free to be who I was in the household. I started to get into photography, maquillaje, cosas así. Y mi mamá era mi mamá se hizo mi luz. She was my biggest supporter, so my mom became my first photography model. I experimented on makeup y mi mamá fue la primera persona que le hice maquillaje. Y pues nosotros empezamos a tener una relación muy bonita porque hablábamos de lo que sea. Yo le decía mis crushes, compartíamos música. A veces lo sentábamos a tomar una taza de café o soda y pues platicábamos de lo que sea, porque pues by that time I felt very comfortable, and my mom became my best friend, so that basically explains everything. So every time I think about it, me da nostalgia y me da como ganas de llorar porque pues mi mamá y yo pasamos por muchas cosas y we became best friends y pues la quiero mucho, so no hay ninguna cosa que puedo decir de mi mamá que sea mala. So if you're a parent, how do you show your unconditional love to your kids, especially if they're different from what you expected? Y si eres un hijo o una hija, ¿qué es una cosa que hicieron tus padres que it meant the world to you? Comment them below because I do want to read them. All right, everyone, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the prompt section of this episode. So for those who don't know, I will be uploading a prompt every Wednesday on my Instagram story, so you guys could go ahead and feel free to fill in the prompt. I will read it, and we're going to dissect it, and I'll give you guys my opinion. So let's get into it. All right, so for this prompt, I posted, who were your main supporters when you came out of the closet? Let's get into it. All right, so vamos a leer la primera submisión y aquí dice, Adolfo, I am the oldest of my siblings. We are 3. When I came out, my biggest supporter was actually my middle sister. She was only 14 at the time, and she told me, I've always known, and I love you no matter what. She made me feel like I didn't have to change a thing about myself. My other sister was too young to know, but she was also very supportive. That's very sweet. Your brothers and sisters will always be your biggest supporters. I know that for a fact because when I came out to my brother, middle child too, he was very supportive. He loved me no matter what. And my younger brother too, till this day, they're very supportive, and they always tell me, they're like, Muñe, my nickname is Muñe. They always tell me, Muñe, we love you, and they know I don't know how to fight or anything like that, so they're always like, if someone messes with you, we're gonna beat them up. So I know how that feels like, and I'm so happy that you have such supportive siblings. It's so touching how supportive family members can be at some point. There's nothing so loving like the support of a sibling, because your siblings are going to be there no matter what. And in my case, I know what that feels like because my brothers are my biggest supporters. They love me, I love them, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. So we're gonna go ahead and move to Gabby, she, her, and it says, honestly, my grandma, she's a tiny 69-year-old traditional Mexican abuela. When I told her, she just said, mija, God made you perfect, and it's none of my business who you end up with. Now pass me the tortillas. Then she pulled me and gave me a hug and told me she'd pray for my happiness every night. It was the most casual and loving thing, and it meant the world to me. Oh, that's very sweet. Yeah, unfortunately, my grandma passed, so I don't know how that would have played out. I'm pretty sure that she would have accepted me because my grandma was a very loving woman. Needless to say that I was a favorite, so she would have been chill about it, I'm assuming. Alright, so vamos a terminar esta section con Sean. Y aquí dice, for me, my best friend from high school. He was my only supporter. When I came out, my family rejected me and things got really rough, even abusive. But my best friend stood by me like a shield. He defended me against bullies instead when no one else would, and reminded me that I deserved love and respect. We met freshman year, and he became my rock during the hardest of my time. That's very sweet. And he says, have you ever had a friend who stood up for you when others, even family, didn't? Yes. So I had two best friends, a guy and a girl. My girl best friend was always my biggest supporter. She always stood up for me when people would pick on me, and till this day we talk. I hope she's doing well, and if it wasn't for her, a big portion of my high school years would be hell. And for my guy best friend, he also was my biggest ally and my biggest supporter, because this was way before I met my girl best friend. He was always so protective of me that he became my best friend right away. I will say that before that, people used to compare us, say that me and him looked alike, and I used to hate him for that. I don't know why. So I guess we didn't become best friends right away until I actually started talking to him, and me and him became close. And he was always my protector. He always stood up to people against that were against me or had something to say. And during my senior year, I went to school in drag. And when I told him, he was happy about it. He was actually thrilled. And one thing that I really do appreciate that he did was he waited for me after each class ended and walked me to my classes, which was very sweet. And to be honest, there was a point that I just got tired because I wasn't wearing heels, and I went home. So he picked me up and took me home, which was very sweet. And I never actually told anyone, not even my mom knew about it, because I snuck out. So thank you. We actually are not on speaking terms. We just drifted apart, and I just decided that it would be best if we part ways. So I hope he's doing well, and I wish the best for him. Alright, so we're going to move on to the next segment. Which is an advice section for parents and kids who are part of the LGBTQ plus community or are allies. So one thing I kind of struggle with understanding is with us, the children who are LGBTQ plus, is the fact that when we come out to our parents, we have this expectation that they will accept you or not. But I think that one thing that you should understand is that you've known for a certain amount of time and processed it, and also figured out a way you were going to tell your parents, which is brave. But one thing that we failed to do is try to give them some space to understand it, because we automatically expect them to love us, support us, or just be very thrilled about it, which is fine. I understand that part. But when it comes to the parents, you should let them understand it, because for them it could be just such a shock that they don't know how to react. So I would say give them time and let them figure it out, and also guide them through the journey, because we have such an expectation sometimes that you want them to accept you, but we need to walk the walk with them, because for them it's such a change, and also it's different than what they expected and what they wanted from you. So for both parts, I would say be patient with each other, because it will be a journey. And also, that's what happened with my mom. She wasn't mad or anything. She was accepting, but it was a journey, because there were things that she did not know what to ask, and there were certain things that me and her had to talk about in order for us to have a healthy relationship. And the same could not be said about my dad. My dad, he said he wasn't really fine with it. He just basically ignored it when I came out to him. And when it comes to my partners or my boyfriends that I have, my dad doesn't want to know about them, and he doesn't even acknowledge it. As of lately, he tries, but it's very hard. And since I'm not close with my dad, it's a journey, and I don't know if it'll happen or not. So that's why I'm telling you guys that it takes time. My stepdad, who I love so much, he's very accepting, and he just doesn't care. He's a chill guy. He's a cool dad. So I'm glad I have that. I think that's all the advice I would give anyone, is just time and patience, and also walk the walk with them. Show them things. If you have certain pronouns to use, guide them through those type of things, because it'll help them understand certain things. It'll help them be more aware, and it'll make them such strong allies. And I know that some of you guys don't have that, so, and it's unfortunate that some of you guys don't, but always know that you have family out there, and there are people who love you. All right, everyone, that'll be it for today's episodio. Thank you so much for listening to this episodio tan personal de En Cama with Manny. I hope you guys enjoyed it and liked it. And les inspire y recuerde que no están solos. And if you liked hanging out conmigo, please don't forget to like this episode and share it with your friends. Y claro, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on our next chisme session. If you liked hanging out conmigo, please give this episode a like and share it with your other friends. And also, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on our next chisme session. And also, don't forget that the chisme does not end there. Go follow me at my Instagram at Eric Diamandis, where I will be posting a new prompt per episode each Wednesday. And remember that the extended uncensored audio version of this episode is available on Spotify, and the video version is exclusively available on YouTube. Thank you so much. Love you guys. See you next time.